Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
Any which way, what you will do in a bank will be very different from the professional courses that you would have possibly taken. It can probably give you a slight understanding of what it involves to, let's say, work in a bank or in the finance function of a company, but it cannot prepare you.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Konversations in Quarantine. I know that you guys are used to watching Kunj's face first when this episode begins, but Kunj is taking a break this week, and I thought, I'll take over his duties. So I'm very happy to be talking to somebody who's actually a senior from school. And the funny thing is that I haven't spoken to her probably in 15 years, at least, probably more. So I am also as excited as you guys are to speak to her and know her journey. So we are going to be talking to Tanya Naik. Tanya is the director of payments at PayPal. She is an XLRI Jamshedpur graduate. She worked for about 7 or 8 years at CitiBank. Very, very excited to talk to you, Tanya, today.
Thank you for inviting me. And like you said, it's been 15 years since we properly spoke. Now we're speaking in quarantine over Zoom.
So, you went to Sydenham, obviously did well in college, both with acads and with extracurriculars again. So how did the XLRI journey start? Tell us about life at XLRI and how that has shaped you.
I knew I had to do a post-graduation, and maybe some of it happened because, again, my mom was an MBA. She graduated from JBIMS. So I saw like something that I could possibly look at as a career path. I had somebody I could emulate at home. Like any other TY/BCom student, I think I gave all the entrance exams. I prepped hard for it. It was 2 of the best years of my life, I think, at Excel. It is such a wonderful mix of people, and you meet people from across India, from different walks of life. I remember somebody in campus was a doctor, someone was in the merchant navy, some are freshers like us. So you really meet exceptionally bright, all doing very well where they were and all trying to, compete together, survive together. So you do learn to fend for yourself. And I think I've struck lifelong friendships there. It was a great learning experience. It's a big reality check for someone who, has always been in Bombay and really had, really used to live with your parents and really taught you to survive.
I think you spent like 8 years at Citi, and that's a ridiculously long time, I think in any scenario. So first of all, what did you do at Citi? Also tell us, what kept you there for so long, in a time when people often switch jobs, look for greener pastures sooner.
I joined Citi through my pre-placement offer. And we all got into this management associate program for 2 years. So it's a really nice program because they rotate you in different divisions, with 1 year. So you do 2 roles actually in the first 2 years of your, you're joining at Citi. So in a way, I think that itself made me realize that I need to keep moving within the bank in order to get the best out of it. So if you look at it, I started out in cards. So I did consumer cards for a year. Then I did product management within the retail bank there. I did investments product where we were like structuring mutual funds and other due diligences of financial products. And then I did transaction banking sales. I did transaction banking product. So if you look at it, I really did 5 jobs over 9 years. And not really 1 job over 9 years. So, and that's what really kept me going. It would have been impossible to do the same thing for 9.5 years.
Can you give some specific examples of projects or products that you launched and the impact that it had on people? Because then we can get the, some understanding of the scale and experience, scope of the work that you did as a banker.
So one of the first few things that I launched, I was an investments product team. Back in the day, and I launched a voice-based investments platform, which was really a first for the bank, and I think across banks it didn't exist in 2011. So it basically enabled customers to place a mutual fund order over the IVR over the phone. And again, that was one example. when I was in transaction banking, I worked on a product where we could pool monies across multiple bank accounts of a large corporate in an automated fashion, as opposed to them, actually handling it actively through their treasury functions. So things like that. I worked on a few RFPs then with some of our large clients. I remember we worked on a Unilever RFP back in the day, where our job was to actually digitize the entire distributor retailer money flow back to HUL. So things like that, which of course kind of come into the banking sphere of things, but also are innovative and something which you do differently for a customer, which they will value.
What do you think of banking as a career option today?
Anybody who wants a career in finance, it is important to get grounding done through a bank stint for sure. So it teaches you basics of finance. It teaches you asset liability management. Which anyways are core treasury functions for any company that you work with, if you're interested in finance, that is. The scope of products that you learn about, even for your personal finances. Today, I don't think somebody working in a bank who's actually done due diligence of products like mutual funds, structured products, would ever get taken for a ride by another investment consultant, right? So if nothing else, for your own personal finances, I think my stint in banking has helped me immensely, and some of the work that I did has helped me look at my own investments portfolio differently. It really grounds your basics of finance. It helps you look at company cash flows. These are things which you couldn't ordinarily do just sitting in one company's corporate treasury function. So you just get to see much more action, I think, than in just one role in, let's say, a corporate finance team. It may not sound exciting as compared to a fintech player or some of these new age payment teams or payment functions, but it is important to get that grounding.
Do you think that engineers will have an advantage with respect to finance roles going forward, because of the fact that there will always be an element of technology that will be necessary to be attached to any finance role? We are talking about AI replacing certain elements of it, and automation is going to come forward. So do you feel that we will, people who are from commerce backgrounds, economics backgrounds, just doing, insurance and finance courses, those people might be at a disadvantage, given that the sphere of banking and finance is moving increasingly towards tech?
See, I think at a basic level, whatever specialization you take, it will eventually help you at some point of time in your life. I truly believe it. So whether you're an engineer or a commerce graduate, or you've done arts and then you decide to join a bank, any which way, what you will do in a bank will be very different from the professional courses that you would have possibly taken. It can probably give you a slight understanding of what it involves to, let's say, work in a bank or in the finance function of a company, but it cannot prepare you. So I don't think that, the basic tenets at which you're building your education blocks, doing a commerce or a economics education stream as opposed to doing engineering and more technical coding level courses will keep you at a disadvantage against those who do those courses. Having said which, once you're in the job and once you're doing whatever role that you have taken up in banking, it is important to know how that world is changing as well. When it comes to cross-border trade, and a lot of it today is pretty much paper based, and a lot of work that banks are doing today to actually make it digital. So you need to always think about making the task given to you easier by adopting technology in it. And that is something that I would think, irrespective of what stream you took in the past, you should think about it when you're doing your job.
Now the question is, you spoke about fintech, and you spoke about the fact that that's now become an in thing, which is in a way the transaction banking function, which was only limited to banks, now has been taken over by tech companies, to make life easier for consumers and for corporates as well, I'm sure, going forward. So how did the switch to PayPal happen? And, what are the cool things that you are currently doing at PayPal?
I think the switch again to PayPal happened just very naturally. I was in the transaction banking sales team at Citi, and one of my clients was PayPal. And when I was working with them, I realized that they wanted to enter India. They wanted to launch the domestic payments business here. And obviously at that time, it was, I think, 2016 or 17. That is when the change happened and GST happened. And there was the whole wave of digital payment firms who kind of took prominence, like Paytm and the likes. So I knew that this was the place where I wanted to be. This is where the action's going to be for the next few years. And I wanted to be a part of it. So because PayPal is anyway such a big global brand and you were getting the chance to launch the domestic business, I literally grabbed it. So the team that I was working with while I was in the bank was also the team looking to hire. So I made an ask for it and thankfully got through the rigorous interviews and finally made it to PayPal. So my role is payments. I lead payments for PayPal India. So many people ask me, तो आप payments करते हो तो बाकी लोग क्या करते हैं PayPal में? So which is actually the right question. But what our team actually does is we are responsible for the creation of the payments product, the partnerships which go to build the payments layer of PayPal. So effectively, if you want to look at it, with plumbing rails for offering our products to our consumers and our merchants. Which is via a financial network like a MasterCard, Visa, Amex or RuPay, or banks who we need effectively to connect to those networks and to offer multiple solutions to our merchants and consumers. So that's what I do. I manage those partnerships and I work on the product management side to the extent that I can whilst amidst. At the heart of it, it is about simplifying your payments experience. And payments at the end of the day is a corollary for any underlying activity that you undertake, which involves a exchange of money, right? So whether it is your shopping experience, your retail experience, whether it is paying for your bills, whether it is buying groceries, and more so in today's time and frame where no contact is of immense importance, and keeping a distance is of immense importance. So it makes your life simpler simply because any activity that you do in order to exchange money or exchange of goods actually happen digitally and don't have to necessarily exchange physical cash. So all the work that all of the companies have done, including PayPal, is to actually make that process automated and electronic. Of course, digital payments have gone much beyond just making your payment transaction simpler. It's trying to bring in a bouquet of financial products today, which a few years back you wouldn't think you could just book it on an app, whether it was booking of a mutual fund, insurance products, whether it was doing smart lending, right? So many startups today which are doing amazing work on this front, using payment analytical data to actually decide how much and when to lend to you and disburse monies to you. Not just as a consumer, but even for merchants, it immensely helps their working capital cycles without getting too technical into all of this. I think at the heart of it, you are just trying to democratize financial products, and digital payment firms are at the forefront of it. So that's how I would say we're making life simpler.
Demonetization happened in 2016. GST was also introduced, I think 7-8 months after demon. And now it's the pandemic. I'd like to believe that all these three are things which can only help us become, more digitized with respect to our transactions. You are in the middle of the most phenomenal growth story that's taking place, in India. I'm sure it's happening globally, but in India, it's just the kind of transaction volumes that you're seeing. So can you kind of give us some before and after context, or overall as an industry, how things have suddenly changed in your experience?
If you looked at the journey of India and post the demonetization wave and the GST wave, it has actually led to the proliferation of digital payments to last mile Indians, and not just to the 100 million Indians, for example, where who have access to or used to have access to digital payments or wallets. So that has been the biggest change to my mind. The fact that you're able to talk of digital payments and UPI, of course. You cannot forget the contribution that UPI has had in the last 3 or 4 years. The fact that you are actually able to do a bank-to-bank transfer using a third-party app without logging into a banking platform, and you're able to do this, through your mobile phones. The fact that you have mobile phones itself, available to more than 500 million Indians, if I remember the stats right. That itself has been such a big propeller to digital payments. So what we've actually witnessed is the seeping in of technology, whether it is in our everyday social interactions, to our financial interactions, the fact that it is available to so many millions of Indians at an affordable cost. So much of the work that the government has done in making it free of cost, actually, and expanding the use of digital payments to a much broader base of merchants and of consumers. And I'm sure the numbers speak for itself. You spoke about the fact that UPI has crossed 1 billion payments. You have companies like Google Pay and Phone Pay who have more than 100 million consumers today. You have a WhatsApp Pay which will come in soon, where you'll be able to make peer-to-peer payments using your WhatsApp app. So I think it's just the beginning of it. It started 4 years ago, and it's the best is yet to come.
So people who graduated from the 2020 batch, people are going to get out in the 2021 batch. They're all a little anxious about their future. So based on whatever you learned over the last decade plus, what is it that you'd like to tell them?
I can tell you, in my own journey, when I joined Citi in 2008, it was the beginning, or rather we were in the midst of the global financial crisis, and Citi went through a very tough period at that point of time. And there was a lot of talk about the sustainability of the business in globally, which included India as well. So there were many times where I used to believe that I may not be left with a job, and usually it's last in first out, right? So pehle management associates ko bhaga denge type of thing. So yeah, naive or whatever. So I think one is that all these thoughts will happen, and it's natural. This year, in fact, is so unpredictable. I really, in my last 12 years of working, I don't think anything could have prepared us for this. So right now, it's just all about survival. And even as a working professional, if you've joined this year, now that you've joined, don't have any preconceived notions. It's any which way a year like never before. People who have joined today possibly have never met their bosses, their own teams, other than this screen that we're peeking into. And pretty much, I think it's going to be this way for a year or so. So get used to it. As much as you are learning about it, people who have been in that job for so many years are also learning to deal with it. But I will say one thing, that it is extremely important in this world, this new world, to make sure that you continue working, you continue participating, continue highlighting your work. It is very important today more than ever before, where you're not meeting people personally to talk about your work. Because if you don't, people will have no clue of what you're doing, assuming everybody is at home in any case, and we don't know when we're going to go back. So please make sure that, all your inhibitions, and I do see that even with people who work for so long, that there is inhibition in talking through these, Zoom meetings and making a point and, showcasing your work. Please do that. It is important early on in your career, and more so now where people are not physically seeing you work. So please make sure that you're heard. That would be my only advice.
You also kindly agreed to be, part of our mentorship panel for council. Who do you think should reach out to you? What are the things that you would be able to help, professionals or students with your experience?
No, I mean, I'm happy to, mentor people who are at any stage of their careers, honestly. Especially if you're beginning out, there are a lot of questions about what I should do next. And okay, I've spent 2 years now. Should I consider a move? Will I get redundant? So I've been through all of that. And like I said, I've done 9 years at Citi, but I did 5 roles there. I'm happy to actually talk to people about, even doing some things within their current job and doing it, I guess, slightly differently. If there are students who would like to understand what to do next in the current scheme of things, and what they should pursue, happy to talk about that as well in my limited understanding, of course, of being a commerce graduate and an MBA.
We are really excited to have you as well on board as a mentor. And yeah, thank you again for being part of this interview.